Hey, welcome to Growth Amplifiers. I'm your host, Manny Torres. Today, I'm joined by Michael Uadiale, a seasoned CPA and master tax advisor with over 25 years of experience. Michael founded and led a seven-figure firm and has helped his clients collectively save over $15 million in taxes. Worked across multiple industries, built 6 other businesses, and now coaches entrepreneurs on how to build strategic tax planning and wealth building. Let's jump right in and explore his journey, how he has achieved this kind of impact, and what business owners can learn from his story. Hey, how you doing, Michael?
I am great. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be on your show today.
I know I butchered your last name, but I want you to pronounce it so everyone understands phonetically how it should sound, because I know you say it much more beautifully than I can. So if you'd like to share how you say your last name.
Yeah, the U, which is the first alphabet in the name, is pronounced W. So it's Y. It's pretty easy, but I know that gives a lot of people challenges.
Yeah, Wadele. And in my
Yeah.
mind, I had it right. And then, of course, when I said it, it probably came out wrong. But, that happens.
Yes.
We'll move forward, but it's a very cool name. Glad to have you here. So, I want to start off with having you give us a little brief intro and what led you into tax advisory and accounting and how you built that firm, which you had such success with.
I think there are two sides to that question. The first side is one, how I ended up in the accounting profession, which is basically my dad wanted me to, in his opinion, study what he considered a more noble profession like law, medicine, and all that kind of stuff. I never liked medicine, not because that wasn't a noble profession, but because I didn't want to deal with blood. So I ended up with accounting as a compromise, which he was fine with. Now, in terms of how and why I went into tax advisory, it's a very personal story because when I came into this country some 25 years ago, actually 28 now, I got a job in Silicon Valley, 6-digit figure, stock options, and all the bells and whistles. I just passed my CPA test and I knew I was going to have a tax bill. And everybody I asked had no idea for me on how to reduce that tax bill. And I just didn't feel that was right. All I was hearing is, it is what it is. You just have to pay the taxes. The long and short of it was, I engaged a CPA to do the tax plan. Of course, he did nothing. All he did was prepare that tax return. And I got a big 6 digit tax bill to pay. Mind you, here is somebody who was only 2 years old in the country, right? And all I was hearing is, you don't want to mess with the Internal Revenue Service. Okay, so that was my personal story. And the one thing that I think has really helped me in my life is I never really believe in just going along with the crowds just because that's what everybody was saying. I always felt there must be another way that is legal, ethical, and moral in anything I do. So, yes, I did pay that tax bill, but that set me on a journey of saying there must be something more. And I stayed in the corporate world for, I think, 10 years. And all of that 10 years, I worked for Fortune 500 companies. And that began to also expose me to really understanding that your tax bill is not something you just take on the face value. Your tax bill can become what you want it to be if you truly and you use the tax code to become your friend. So as I walked my way up the corporate ladder, seeing all what I was blessed to see in being a controller in top firms like that, I took that when I felt it was time to transition out of corporate America. And then I said, okay, there are lots of small and medium-sized businesses who even need this kind of services more because every dollar matters to most small business owners in that space. To see that their tax bill is their single largest business expense and nobody's paying attention was now my driving motivation because I had just experienced it personally. So that's how I set myself on this journey.
Nice. And that's great because you get the experience of working with some of the finest institutions and businesses out there. As you made that transition in your journey to work with those small, medium sized businesses, obviously there's bumps in the road.
But yeah,
What are some of those challenges that you encountered as you started to build your own business and starting to work with those small and medium-sized business owners?
my answer may shock you or surprise you. I think the largest challenge I got was from the people I was even trying to bring significant value to. And what I meant by that is my first set of clients, they had been so used to paying God knows how much they were paying in taxes, right? They accepted that as it is what it is. And they saw it as the cost of doing business. And so for them, they always felt if it is sounding too good to be true, maybe it's really not true. And initially, when we started, breaking through from that perspective was a challenge because somebody comes in as your client and the person has been used to paying maybe 40, 50, 60,000 every year before. You present them a tax plan and you put in what I consider now just very fundamental workhorse strategies. Oh, you can hire your teenage child in your business, right? And then the answer you get is that legal? So that was really, I think, my first biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge was even the CPAs that I hired as our practice grew. Similar to the business owners, many of them, even to this day, unfortunately, to this day, maybe about 85% of CPAs are clueless when it comes to advisory work or tax planning. They really are. I say this, and I know people don't like me saying it, but that is the reality. Many CPAs are still just doing post-mortem work, meaning the year comes to an end, clients just bring their documents and they do the tax returns, and unfortunately, they don't do any planning. So the first set of staff members that I hired, I got a lot of resistance from them because for them, this thing is not right. And so you find among fellow CPAs and professionals, they impute into the tax code what the tax code didn't say and what the tax code did not mean, because there is the letter and the spirit of the law. Many CPAs impute things that are not there, whether in the letter or in the spirit. And so they, on the basis of that, they advise clients inaccurately, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but that's the two biggest challenges I got.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen that too. And not only with that part of it, looking at the tax planning part of it, of what falls into those categories, but a lot are only just looking at the past, not even thinking about the future. They're just like, here's your bill, as you stated. Obviously, you've worked with a lot of different industries, different entrepreneurial ventures. What are some practical, tactical habits that have made a difference for you as you moved into being that service provider and that value driven advisor?
I would say it's more strategic than tactical because it's a long term view that I have taken to most of the things I have done. One of my coach once said, we tend to overestimate what we can do in one day and we underestimate what we can achieve in 1 year. The most strategic thing I have done really is invest in myself. And what I mean by that is it's not enough to carry the CPA appellation behind your name, right? That's just passing some tests and then sitting under licensure to be giving those letters after your name. I think your job really starts after you become that trusted advisor because people are entrusting to you something that is very emotional to most people: money, right? Their finances. Tax return is about one of the most important financial documents any one of us have. So I have invested, and I'm serious about that, hundreds of thousands of dollars on myself. And I continue to do that because the tax code is a maze. And it's a maze because it's written by lawyers based on what the politicians gave to them to write. Many accountants think only linearly. Lawyers don't think 2 plus 2 is 4. Lawyers figure out what is it that you want the answer to be. And then on the basis of that, they craft the law, right? And so the tax code is really about the law and then the spirit of the law. So investing in myself has been tremendous for me because I am, by His grace, I'm able to really look at a client's casework right? And I design better structures and all of that to really change that client's situation. So one of my mentors always says, if you want to change your taxes, you got to change your facts. Changing your facts is not about lying. It's about restructuring how what you are currently doing better fits into the tax code so you get the maximum benefit from it. So that's been my biggest investment. And following from that, as a practice, we invest very heavily on our team members. And when we interview, we're looking for candidates that fit our value set because we never want anybody to be part of our team if he or she feels like he already knows everything, because there's always something else to learn. In our profession, the laws are constantly changing. Just July 4th this year, we got a new tax law. I'm not even done reading through that whole bill. Neither am I done looking at the blue book that comes out as a result of a new tax law. For people not to do that and hold yourself out as an expert that should be trusted, I actually consider it to be professional malpractice.
Yes, I can see that. And you make really good points there. And I love your analogy about refitting the elements so that it fits to the picture that you're looking to create. As a marketer, it's very similar to positioning, right? It's how are we putting something in a way that it's getting the end result and yeah, the perception that we're looking for. You mentioned mentors. That's something that's near and dear to our heart. Our podcast is called Growth Amplifiers. We see amplifiers as people that are always looking to grow and learn. Who are some of your favorite mentors that you follow?
I don't just follow my mentors, I allow them to closely impact me. There's this saying that if you want to be impressed, you can look at people from afar. But if you want to be impacted, then you got to really get close to them. So when it comes to professionally, my main mentor has been Tom Wainwright. He's the best-selling author of Tax Free Wealth. He's Robert Kiyosaki's CPA. I have had the pleasure and I continue to have the pleasure of sitting around him, Robert, being in conferences, speaking on the same platform as somebody like that. And absolutely, that relation continues to this day.
That's a great one. And I love Kiyosaki and everyone that's connected with him. So I'll definitely check him out.
Yeah. So check out Tom Wainwright is his name. His best-selling book is Tax Free Wealth. If you've not read that book, I think I'll let Tom know that he has one more customer to get.
Definitely. It'll be on my Amazon checkout today. So our audience is accounting firm owners, other advisors. And for those that are listening, what's one key lesson that you feel that you've learned along your journey that they could apply today to help them step up their advisory game?
I think the key thing to me has been really putting ourselves in the position of the client. As professionals, sometimes we remove ourselves from remembering that our services are directly impacting human beings. Like I said earlier, we're dealing with money, taxes, those are very emotional things. Many CPAs do not flinch to tell a client, have just completed your tax return. You owe $42,000 now. And I'm like, do you have that kind of money in your bank account? Why do you think you should be providing that kind of news to a client on April 10th? Why did you not think about what you could have done for that client to shift that bill legally, ethically, and morally from 42,000 to maybe less than 10,000 way before that year? And I think as advisors, we need to really focus on bringing value. It sounds so simple, and bringing value means imagining that we are the client. I have a friend, he's an attorney client. He said to me, Michael, I have been on all kinds of court cases where I'm representing people. And he said the only time he had to represent himself in a traffic court case in a small claims court, he said he was tongue-tied because he was not the attorney. He was now the defendant. And that was a scary moment for him. And that brought a new realization to how he practiced law until he retired. I think as professionals, we need to learn to put ourselves first in the shoes of our clients. And that's why I clearly say to my clients, I'm first of all an entrepreneur who happens to be a CPA. I am interested in what will bring value to me. When I go into a grocery store and I take anything out of that shelf, I have a perception that what I'm taking out of the shelf is of equivalent or higher value than what the store is asking me to pay. So bringing value will elevate us and force us to become a better version of ourselves every day.
I love that. That's a great note to end on. Michael, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. If
Thank
there's
you.
people out there listening and they'd love to connect with you and learn more about you and Smead CPA, what's the best way for them to connect?
There is a very simple email address is taxes@smeadcpa.com. T as in Tom, A as in Apple, X as in Xerox, E as in Edward, S as in Sam at smeadcpa.com. Smead CPA is SMEED CPA.com. That's the best way to connect with us. And there's somebody who monitors that email and that person checks. And if they reach out and say they found me on one of these kind of shows, I like to give the courtesy of connecting with them and understanding and seeing if we are the best fit for their tax situation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. So if you're out there listening, and whether you're an accountant, a bookkeeper, or another advisor who wants to connect to have Michael help with that strategy and taking care of some of those things that maybe aren't your wheelhouse, or if you're just a business owner out there and would love to have someone that's fighting for you to make sure that you're not paying those taxes that you don't need to, make sure that you reach out to Michael. Michael, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I enjoy that word you just said, fighting for you. When I have an attorney, my expectation is that my attorney is representing me. And I want my fellow CPAs to understand that the clients are expecting us to be their advocate, not working for the Internal Revenue Service.
Great point. Have a great one, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. Good job.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.